What's up, everybody? It's Sammy33 returning for another hot tag video. This one was requested by Coreynba, and this would be some of my favorite WCW matches. And just like it was with NXT, we're going to cover both pay-per-view matches and matches during Nitro, possibly Thunder, probably not Thunder, but I wanted to include both. So they're all available on the WWE Network. Some you could probably find on YouTube as well. So let me bring my laptop a little bit closer so I have my notes. And let's get it started. I'm going to try to keep this video to 10 minutes. That's the plan. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself. I'll try to stick to it. Alright, first one I want to start with. Great American Bash, 1996. Rey Mysterio Jr. and Dean Malenko. So I've talked about it before, and I'll probably talk about it on show. One of the things I really liked about WCW was the fact that the Cruiserweight division was such a big deal for them. I know the WWF at the time tried to have their own division. It's nothing like WCW. You had 3 hours. They had their own time to showcase, and it was taken serious. Unfortunately, as we saw going forward, there was a glass ceiling. We saw with Jericho. Obviously him and Eddie Guerrero talked about it. The glass ceiling that they were never able to go above. But for us as wrestling fans, it was great entertainment. And one of those matches I wanted to pull was that one. Dean Malenko, for me, is a top 10 technician of all time. Rey Mysterio, obviously super, super popular. Great match, good flow. And it's nice because you have Malenko, who's a technician, stepping a little bit out of his comfort zone, doing a quicker pace match, and you have Mysterio, who obviously is more of a high flyer, also stepping out of his comfort zone a little. So you have the fast pace, the pace of the match is varying back and forth. Ultimately, Malenko won. I believe it was a counter of a Hurricane Rana. I believe that he countered into a power bomb in order to win. Very, very well done match. Not done with the Cruiserweight division. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go directly. Do I want to go directly back to them? Let's go in order. We'll go in order. That way I don't mess it up. Another pay-per-view. Bash at the Beach 1994, Flair Hogan. So Hogan won this match, becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. Hulkamania is running wild, blah, blah, blah. But this is why it's important. So wrestling used to be territories. So you'd have territory A, territory B, C, D, whatever, based off the local area. And what you'd have is wrestlers that would kind of go, I want to say like a little bit back and forth, and they would wrestle within other territories, wrestle for the titles. It led to some interesting situations like, hey, you beat our champ, so then he's going to have to, there's going to be a rematch or something to drop the belt back, stuff like that. But this was one of the big dream matches that everyone wanted. Everyone recognized Hogan as being that dude for what Hulkamania and everything he was doing in the WWF. Meantime, you've got NWA, you've got WCW, you have Ric Flair, who is this big, larger-than-life guy as well. Recognized as one of the best ever at that time, even. And they never crossed paths. Even in the WWF, that match never happened. The Royal Rumble, Flair does win the Royal Rumble to become the WWF champion at the time, but they never crossed paths. So this was their first time. They've had other matches down the road, but nothing was as big as the first. And when Hogan went to WCW, smart of them to cash in on that right away. Wanted to establish Hogan as one of their top dogs. Obviously, Flair was still going to continue to be, but you get that match that the WWF did not give you, and it automatically is putting butts in the seats and people watching on TV. Very, very smart. Big match. One of the few dream matches that may have seemed like, oh, we're never going to get it, but once he went to WCW, like, hey, WWF screwed this up. We're not going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure we have that match. So that will cover two. One that I want to cover I was actually just watching it a couple of nights ago. I just need to look the date up real quick here because I have to pull it up. I was going to go DDP for a little bit. DDP was a very underrated wrestler. He started out at an older age, so he didn't get the luxury of having this big, lengthy career that some other wrestlers have had. His was shorter because he started later, but that didn't stop him from working hard, honing his craft, not only becoming the quote unquote people's champ, but also becoming a damn good wrestler in the ring. I bring this up because I want to bring up Sting and DDP. I still think this was the best match ever on Nitro. This, honestly, I'm not going to say it last, but this is probably honestly my favorite match that I can think of that I've watched for WCW. So it's Nitro, April 26th. So let me set the stage. Piper comes out. DDP comes out. I think that you should defend the title against Sting. I would love nothing more than to do it, but I'm not going to do it, blah, 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 whatever. Piper forces him to. Also, Charles Robinson, because you had Piper and Flair battling for control of the company, comes out and fires Piper, but the match still stays. So that is how the show started. The start of the second hour, heavyweight title match. DDP versus Sting. Really, really good match. The pace was great. A lot of near falls. I believe he had the tombstone, the pile driver. Sting was able to block a diamond cutter early. DDP was able to dodge a Stinger splash, play that to his advantage, and ultimately have the pinning combinations going back and forth. And Sting's going for a backslide, and DDP with the mule kick. If you don't know what that is, just think of what a backslide is. And you have just that kickback, just that low blow, but the ref can't see it because the ref's right in front of you. So you just ease that leg back to get the advantage. And then, Sting, is hunched over, grabbing stuff, and goes in the corner, and DDP goes for a diamond cutter. Oh, Sting's holding on to the ropes. It's hard to see because I'm so close to the monitor. But, he's going for the diamond cutter. Sting has, got the ropes grip like that in the corner. Twice. So he doesn't come out. Boom. Grabs him. Walks it up. Scorpion Death Drop. 1, 2, 3. Sting wins the championship. Just sudden finish. You didn't expect it. Great counter. And hey, Sting is your new heavyweight champ. And to have that happen in the middle of a show, not even at the end, not at the beginning, but in the middle of a show, just a random night and Nitro, no one expected it, and you get a great match. Sting would drop the belt later in a fatal 4-way. Macho Man interfered and whatever. So DDP won the title back at the end of the night. But Sting, a great one-on-one match with DDP. I'm going to stick with DDP because the match that made him a big-time player was against Macho Man. And we have that Spring Stampede, 1997. So Macho Man's an interesting one because I feel like he gets overlooked a lot because the focus is always on Hogan. The WWF is always in the Mega Powers, but it's Hogan and then it's Macho Man. Macho Man never got really a chance to shine in the spotlight. And even in WCW, he still didn't get a chance to shine in the spotlight. Very, very good worker in the ring, but could just never hit the highest of highs continually because you had Hogan and you had Flair. He's just he's an A-plus player, but he got branded as an A-minus, B-plus because he just never was able to have those opportunities that those other guys had, even Sting for that matter. So you have him against DDP. This match was so good. This match was so good. You guys have no idea. The thing about it, we talk about Orton a lot in stream, the RKO out of nowhere, but DDP has the diamond cutter. I mean, essentially the same thing, and so many ways to hit it. He ends up winning the match, but man, I'm telling you, you have to go watch this match. If you've never watched WCW, I would say Sting and DDP is a match you need to watch, and then I would throw you right into that match after, so you could see this is a homegrown guy in DDP that puts on a great match with a great worker in the ring. Weird finish. It's the NWO, it always is. But Sting, DDP still wins, and I feel like that match is what kind of launched him on that upper path to being a big time player. And you know what? I'm gonna give you one more DDP. So if you didn't like DDP, or if you thought that I might be a little high on DDP, let me add another one. The one against Goldberg. That would be Halloween Havoc 1998. Goldberg won. But remember, Goldberg's matches were super short, always. Short, power display. It's hard to hurt him. He'd get his kick in, get the body press slam in. Eventually, everything at the end is gonna come down to he's gonna hit the spear, and he hits it hard. Best spear ever in wrestling that I can remember. If we're also gonna have to go back super old school, but if we're talking like Edge, Reigns, there is no comparison. Or Batista, there is no comparison. Goldberg's spear is vicious, and then the jackhammer. That match, again, Goldberg won because this is while he was on his undefeated streak, but he made Goldberg look like $1,000,000. And also, again, DDP able to go in there against a high-profile star, bring out the best in him, and put on a good match. So that's another one you want to check out. It's a pretty short one too. And let me go and read exactly what it says about this. This is the worst thing about this match. Because the match between Hollywood Hogan and the Warrior, the Ultimate Warrior, dragged on. PPV providers, ended the broadcast at 11 p.m., so right as the match started. So they aired it for free. So this was something weird for me because they never, think about now, we have the WWE Network, matches go on, and they just go. But that wasn't like that back in the day. You had a set time period, so your show had to end that set time. And they went over time. If you watch Nitro, you knew they had that 5 minutes at the end, so they would go over. I think Raw kind of had the same thing, 7 minute window. But with pay-per-views, they didn't play that. Normally, you had a block and you ended early. They ran late and they said, hey, we have other shows that are supposed to start at X time. We're not going to, we can't affect the people that have bought the next show, whatever it is. So, hey, we have to cancel it. So they showed it on Nitro for free. It was a really good match. And it sucks because it was a really good match that people paid money to see and they didn't get to see it. But the reward was we all got to see it. The entire audience gets to see it for free. And no, that was a really good match. It's one of those weird things. WCW had a lot of weird stuff going on. So it is what it is. I'm going to go over two more real quick. Sting, Ric Flair, Great American Bash, 1990. Sting's first ever World Championship win. I will just say Flair is the GOAT. I've always said that on stream. This is the match to me that made him, that made Sting. And I will always say to this day, I am so grateful for Ric Flair for this because Sting is my favorite wrestler of all time. And this is that one. You knew he was that dude. I think he was the international champion back when they had a match in '88. And Flair won that one. But this was the one that made Sting the big time. This is that big time player move there. So, Flair, thank you. Not even with a finisher, with the small package. So, hard fought match, and he wins. Got a minute to go, so I'll make this quick. Two more matches. Halloween Havoc, Rey Mysterio against Eddie Guerrero, 1997. Another one, talking about the Cruiserweight division. So many great guys. Ultimo Dragon, Juventud Guerrera, Malenko, Jericho. There's so many great guys. This, arguably the best Cruiserweight match that they ever had. Pay-per-view, this was one of those matches that helped put Mysterio up on that upper path. I mean, he was a Cruiserweight champion. He did have a higher ceiling than some of the other Cruiserweights. One of the matches that did a very high-powered match. Guerrero's matches, even in WCW, that were fast-paced, still a lot of power. So, that's the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Such a good match. Definitely have to check that out. And the last one, the best match, 1989. So I had to go back and watch it because I definitely had no idea what was really going on back then. Way too small. 1989. Flair, Steamboat. The culmination of their feud. Let's make sure I got it right. It's at Wrestle War. Yes. A 3-part feud that ended at Wrestle War in May. Watch the entire feud. You will not be disappointed. Arguably the greatest rivalry ever in ring, not big picture, because I'd say probably the greatest rivalry in wrestling would be Austin McMahon. And then I could say Hogan Flair, or maybe not Hogan Flair, because they didn't have enough matches in their prime. In ring is Flair, Steamboat, point blank. Watch that entire trilogy. It's capped off with arguably a top 3 match of all time. And I can tell you that wasn't even their best match, but it's the best match that we have footage of. Definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. Those, if I can find it right now, sorry, that will cover this. It went a little longer than planned. Doesn't it always? But that will cover my favorite WCW matches of all time. If there's any others that you like to add to it, comment below. If you have gripes with some, comment below. But there are even more. I just want to go over a couple within a reasonable time limit. So I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see what the next video will be. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with the coronavirus affecting things going on. So yeah, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.